In what appears to be a serious case of breach of sovereignty, Pakistan today attacked the head of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, Nurwali Masood, at a compound in eastern Kabul. This was a bold dare to the Taliban government in Afghanistan. The latest airstrikes in Kabul have blown the lid of the pot that has been simmering beneath. There's been multiple attacks and counterattacks between Afghanistan and Pakistan, particularly over the Durand Line. And in response to this attack on the TTP chief, Nurwali Masood, there has been a response from the Afghan Taliban at the border areas, an attack in which at least 11 Pakistani soldiers have been killed. Things are expected to get bloodier between both countries and across the Durand Line. While Masood himself managed to dodge the bullet, he managed to escape. His son fell victim to Pakistan's aerial attacks. Another 30-odd civilians were killed in the airstrikes as well. But what could have possibly provoked this? And what is Pakistan trying to prove? You cannot breach the sovereignty, the air sovereignty of a country by going in, hitting and coming back and then thinking that there won't be any consequences. I think the answer to it lies in plain sight. Now remember, the timing of this attack is also extremely significant. It is a signaling from Pakistan to the Taliban regime in Afghanistan that they don't think it's kosher to expand ties with India. Now, it was also timed with the visit of the Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi to India, who's on an official visit. In fact, the first official visit of the Taliban Foreign Minister to India. The timing cannot be a mere coincidence. It says that Pakistan's way of saying that Afghanistan remains a strategic backyard and it will continue to dictate terms to Kabul. But Kabul is not any longer going to just sit back and listen to these terms and conditions being dictated by Islamabad. Now, what is even more striking, before that, let's play out some of the reactions that have come in, but I'll get to what is even more striking about these attacks and the remarks that preceded it. But first, some reactions that have come.
जिस मट्टी में से उनको फायदा मिल रहा है, जिस मुल्क से, जिस सरजमीन से उनको फायदा मिल रहा है, उस मुल्क के साथ दुश्मनी कर रहे हैं। सर, ये अब बर्दाश्त नहीं होगा। ये अब जो हमारे सब्र का पैमाना जो है पाकिस्तान की हुकूमत का, पाकिस्तान की अफवाज का जो है लबरेज हो चुका है।
अफगानियों का हौसले नहीं आजमाया, उसको ज़्यादा छेड़ना अगर लोग करता है तो वो एक बार अंग्रेज से पूछे, फिर सोवियत यूनियन से पूछे, फिर अमेरिका से पूछे, फिर नाटो से पूछे, ताकि वो आपको थोड़ा सा समझाए कि भाई अफगानिस्तान के साथ ऐसा खेल करना ये अच्छा नहीं है.
Is witness that Pakistan has not really been a friend to anyone, leave alone Afghanistan. With the Taliban, for instance, in fact, it was the creation of the ISI and the deep state of Pakistan way back in the 1970s to take on the Soviet invasion. The very nation celebrated the Taliban's return to power in Afghanistan in 2021, even though for 20 years it was a major non-NATO ally of the United States and was fighting the same Taliban. Today, Pakistan is busy bombing the cities that are under Taliban control. The very same Pakistan that once shielded and sheltered Osama bin Laden on its soil is now cozying up to the United States yet again in its efforts to re-engage the Trump administration. While Pakistan and China still remain very close, fair-weather friends, ironclad friendship, etc., with the collaboration on the CPREC project, the all-weather friend tag, all of that seems to have been lost somewhere, particularly with Pakistan now cozying up to the Trump administration. And we're given to understand that this attack that happened on Kabul, a country where China has been trying to invest itself very heavily over the last many years, that this attack by Pakistan was not informed to the Chinese before it was carried out, but it was informed to the Americans. So what does all of this mean? Well, it also comes at a time when the foreign minister of Afghanistan, the foreign minister of the Taliban, Mr. Amir Khan Muttaqi, was here in India. India and the Taliban government seem to have made considerable progress in the talks that were held today in the national capital. For the first time, India has hosted the foreign minister. It is said that its mission in Kabul will now be enhanced to a full-fledged embassy. And more importantly, there is a description of Afghanistan as a contiguous neighbor to India. I'll tell you what that means in a second, but first, let's listen into what Foreign Minister Jaishankar had to say.
During the American occupation, there was many ups and downs that happened. However, throughout this time, we never gave a statement against India. Rather, we always sought good relations with India.
We have a common commitment towards growth and prosperity. However, these are endangered by the shared threat of cross-border terrorism that both our nations face. We must coordinate efforts to combat terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. We appreciate your sensitivity towards India's security concerns.
Now, in the meeting held today, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar described Afghanistan as a contiguous neighbor during the talks with the Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi. That phrase, contiguous neighbor, stood out because by calling Afghanistan a contiguous neighbor, India wasn't merely describing geography, but it was reaffirming history. It was asserting sovereignty, and it was sending a subtle warning across to both Islamabad and to Beijing. By invoking contiguity, New Delhi is in effect reiterating that Pakistan occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, which is immediately south of what is called the Wakhan corridor, which is in modern-day Pakistan, is not something that India recognizes. Gilgit-Baltistan, the northern areas, and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir happen to be Indian territory, and India hopes to reclaim that someday because right now, the only sort of contiguous connection between India and Afghanistan happens to be what is called the Wakhan corridor. India is sending out a signal that Gilgit-Baltistan, which is immediately south of the Wakhan corridor, happens to be Indian territory. Let's break this down in a little more detail. To understand what India means that Afghanistan is its contiguous neighbor, look at this particular area. It's one of the world's most remote corners. It's called the Wakhan corridor. It's a thin, high-altitude strip of land, barely about 100 square kilometers or so. It's in the northeastern tip, in the far northeastern tip of Afghanistan. It covers, like I said, a little over 100 square kilometers. It's bang in the middle of two ranges, two mountain ranges, the Pamir and the Karakoram. For India, the Wakhan corridor represents something more profound than just geography. It is a symbol of continuity, a reminder that before 1947, in British India and in ancient India, there was a direct land border between India and Afghanistan. In legal and historical terms, Afghanistan still borders India, only that there is the illegal occupation by Pakistan of areas like Gilgit-Baltistan, which is just south of this Wakhan corridor, which is an illegally occupied area, and therefore India someday hopes to reclaim this as the great Indian dream or the great Indian project, as it were. Now, 3 years ago, I spoke with Amir Khan Muttaqi, the now foreign minister of the Taliban ruling in Afghanistan. At that time, he was still a Taliban fugitive, a Taliban terrorist. I asked him just how important ties are between India and the Taliban and India and Afghanistan. This is what he had to say 3 years ago, and this is just as valid today on a day when he has come to India for his very first visit as the official foreign minister of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. What are your views and what is your government's position as far as bilateral and diplomatic ties are concerned with India? With India, there has been a long-established relationship between Kabul and New Delhi. What is your government's position now on restarting diplomatic ties with India?
Our embassies and consulates are still functional in India and they are cooperating with us. I believe that the relation of Afghanistan with India will be strengthened in the coming future. Their embassy would function in our country and our embassy would function in their country. India and Afghanistan are nearby countries in the region and we should have economic, political, diplomatic relations with each other which would be beneficial to both.
What support exactly do you expect from India with regard to the humanitarian aid situation as well as further structural support that your government expects from New Delhi?
India is a very big country full of opportunities. We had announced to the whole world to make investment and open embassies and consulates in Afghanistan. Especially India, it had several projects in Afghanistan earlier. India had economic projects. These projects should be resumed and those projects which are left incomplete should be completed and more effort should be put in the development of these projects.
How do you view relations between India and Pakistan and more importantly the role of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan in that? Secondly, as you're well aware, the biggest problem that India faces is that there are cadre of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, other terrorist organizations who are being sent from Pakistan into Kashmir. What is your view on that, and what can your government do to ensure that Afghanistan does not become a breeding ground for these elements?
As far as Afghanistan is concerned, we had promised and assured the entire world nobody would be allowed to use the Afghan soil against other countries. In future, also no one would be allowed to do that. With respect to the relations between two nations and whether it is good or bad, we are hopeful that all issues should be resolved keeping in mind the benefits of the entire region. We do not want conflict to continue between the countries in the region whose results will be detrimental to Afghanistan.
All right, I want to go across to Mr. Dilip Sinha. He's a former diplomat. Thank you very much, Ambassador Sinha, for speaking with us. So I want to, divide this into two parts. First, I want to deal with the Pakistan-Afghanistan situation because of this aerial attack that happened. Taliban seems to have retaliated. There was an attack on the border. I think 11 Pakistani soldiers have been killed. Why do you think this is a sort of line in the sand, as it were? Because we haven't seen this kind of aerial attack by the Pakistan Air Force deep inside Afghanistan, in fact, the heart of Kabul, trying to eliminate the head of the TTP, Nurwali Masood.
Thank you for having me. Relations between Pakistan and the TTP, on account of that with Afghan Taliban, have been deteriorating very rapidly over the last several months. Pakistan had hoped that the Afghan Taliban would not give support to TTP and that the two together would be able to crush TTP. But that has not happened. The Taliban in Afghanistan have given shelter to the TTP, and the TTP has been carrying out activities inside Pakistan against Pakistani control over the areas that the TTP wants to clear. And as a result of that, because of the shelter that Afghan Taliban are giving in Afghanistan, relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan have deteriorated very sharply. The TTP's terrorist activities inside Afghanistan have increased considerably, and Pakistan is feeling the pinch of it. And of course, this coincidence of the attack deep inside Afghanistan, as you pointed out, in Kabul itself, coinciding with Muttaqi's visit to Delhi, could be a message to both countries. But quite certainly, it is a very daring attack. There have been earlier attacks by Pakistan Air Force in Afghan territory, but never as deep as in Kabul itself. So this is a very sharp deterioration in their relations.
I do want to talk about, the fact that it happened on the very same day that Muttaqi, the foreign minister, was here and hosted by the Indian External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar. Why do you believe it's not a coincidence and that this was deliberately timed? And two, I also want to talk to you about, what was achieved in today's meeting between the Indian and Taliban foreign ministers. The fact that India has said that it's going to, have a full-fledged embassy in Kabul, the first time India has hosted the foreign minister of the Taliban. What moved in terms of the needle as far as today is concerned?
Well, India's relations with the Taliban have been improving slowly over the years. We had made some contact, some official level contact as well. We had provided humanitarian assistance to the Taliban. And the Taliban were very keen to improve relations with India. There has been a certain amount of trade going on through third countries. So when the Taliban approached and wanted Muttaqi to visit India, we felt that it is time to then upgrade the relations. And this has been the main achievement of Muttaqi, that India has now formally decided to upgrade what was called a technical mission into a diplomatic mission. There will not be an ambassador immediately, but there will certainly be a CDA. So now it's become a regular relationship at the diplomatic level between India and Afghanistan. So this is a great achievement for the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. It is no longer just a regime. It's, in our view, a government, an established government of Afghanistan. And this is the main achievement of Muttaqi, apart from the fact that he has a longish stay in India, where he's going to Deoband, he's going to Agra, and he's had a delegation level meeting with the External Affairs Minister. So this is certainly an upgrade in our relations with the Taliban, and a significant one, because in the Taliban 1 regime, relations were very bad. In Taliban 2, in the last 4 years, relations have moved very, very cautiously from both sides. Okay. But I think the worsening of relations between Taliban and Pakistan has also played a role in this.
I also want to get a quick final word, and I think we can bring back that map of the Wakhan corridor in the context of what was said in the statement that was released after the meeting between the External Affairs Minister and Mr. Muttaqi, the Afghan Foreign Minister, about Afghanistan being a contiguous neighbor. Explain to our viewers why that phrasing is significant, and this whole business about the Wakhan corridor, the fact that, towards the east of the corridor, you have China, which is heavily invested in Afghanistan. To the south of the corridor, you have Gilgit-Baltistan, where again, CPEC is passing through Gilgit-Baltistan. There have been all kinds of problems there the locals have had with those projects there. Explain to us the significance of this phraseology and why this Wakhan corridor is important.
Well, the Wakhan corridor, as you know, was created late in the 19th century between the British and the Russians in order to keep the two empires separated. And this corridor was given to Afghanistan to keep the British Empire and the Russian Empire separate, but it also enabled Afghanistan to have a common border with the Chinese Empire in Xinjiang. Now, after the partition of India and the creation of Pakistan, when Jammu Kashmir acceded to India, the British scout in Gilgit, in Unza, got this area to accede to Pakistan. And then, of course, Pakistani forces came in and they occupied Gilgit-Baltistan. And that removed the only common border that we were supposed to get with Afghanistan through the Wakhan corridor. And because of Pakistani occupation of Gilgit-Baltistan, Pakistan gets a direct border with Xinjiang, which is under China, and we lose the direct contact with Afghanistan. So the use of the phrase contiguous neighbor is extremely important, because we have been using the phrase that Afghanistan is a neighbor, but that is always said in the context of an extended neighborhood, because we don't have a land border with Afghanistan. But this emphasis on contiguous means that we also want to emphasize that Pakistan's occupation of Gilgit-Baltistan is illegitimate, and it is genuinely a part of Jammu and Kashmir, which had acceded to India in 1947.
Okay, Dilip Sinha, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on CNN News 18 and explaining all of those issues for our viewers.